in the Midwest. Hello.
Start. The shortest one on the circuit, and it's very hard to get through the S-turns. After that, a lot of off-camber, off-angle jumps and blind spots, so that you're always setting up way early and preparing for the next section. Put on top of that, really, really long straightaways, so it depends on how fast you get through those corners to get you down that next straight. That's going to be the key here today at Park River.
Of course, another critical point here is getting offline with these four cylinders. If you get out in the soft stuff, it'll suck all the horsepower out of that truck. Here's a look at the points as they enter into round number 5 here in the Pro Light division. This will be a dogfight right to the very end, I promise you. This one will not be settled until the final round of 06.
Kyle LeDuc very fast, either checkers or wreckers. Chad Hort very consistent.
When we come back, it'll be round
Championship off-road racing, they want the fenders to come off and move away. In NASCAR, they want the body, the crushed parts, to stay attached to the vehicle. That becomes a safety hazard for the driver, because if a hood gets folded and gets hit, it could come back and impel the driver. Technique is key, and if you look at guys like Johnny Greaves, who is one of the fastest, if not the fastest Pro 4 driver, he has a lot of history in a Pro Light. So Pro Light teaches you technique, car setup, and also how to finesse a vehicle around the track. Now let's go take a look at Art Schmidt's vehicle without the body on it. When we strip everything off, it's a whole different monster. When you look down here at the steering, we got a steering degrees angle of about 37 degrees. When it comes to your basic car, you're lucky if you get 20 degrees. When you have to do those 5-point turns to get turned around in a parking lot, in the championship off-road truck racing, these guys can spin on a dime.
That is our Toyota. For starters, Rodrigo Ampudio, who's going to be on the pole, talk about they struggle with mud here in the Midwest. The California guys, the rookies, they're going to have a muddy day today.
I'm telling you, if I had one place where I'd want to be, and that's that pole position on the inside. It's the shortest to the first turn, and it puts you inside. The green flag is ready to drop.
Looks like it's going to be Kyle LeDuc who's out front. We go on board with Art Schmidt, and look at the slump. He gets turned around.
He's getting bounced around. You're just kind of at the mercy. You're along for the ride. It's like when you get stuffed in a wave, you can't fight it. The same thing when you're in a mass of trucks like that, you can't fight the group. They're pushing you at all different angles. Here we see Dan Vandenheuvel Jr. getting spun around as well, but keeping a very, very sharp head and not going crazy. He's waiting for the crowd to get by him.
John Marking coming up through there, right there. You are looking at Kyle LeDuc, the Skyjacker back machine, and he is off to an excellent start. The good news for him, he can hopefully see where he's going. How about John Marking, though?
Well, I'm telling you, I don't think we're going to see the bad stuff come down for a while yet, but it is dumping out there. So any place on the track is probably going to drop the lap times down about 3 to 4 seconds, because these guys have to be ginger on the throttle.
In the blue truck, that is John Marking, one of our rookies, first time in a Pro Light. He is a vice president of Fox Racing Shocks, where they have 500 employees. This is a truck that's actually been re-groomed by Kurt Greaves, has Slinger motor inside of it, but more importantly, he actually crashed a Rhino at the end of 05 and had extensive surgery. In fact, 27 screws, 7 titanium plates, and his left hand.
Here we see him going around at Crandon. It was an earlier race last week where it was raining. He lands, goes around, but John Marking is a veteran of racing. Even though he struggled a little bit here at CORR, he says it's a completely different animal. He's picking it up very, very quick, and on top of it, he supplies shocks for a lot of guys like Chad Hort.
Kyle LeDuc up front. Man, is he dealing with some slop. He actually goes with a motocross-style helmet and goggles.
Well, a lot of times I went with that, a very similar deal. When you have the visor like you do in motocross, you can duck the roost or the rain. Here you see Kincaid, his shield is wide open. All the mud can come straight back to him. But with LeDuc's visor, if he sees something coming, he can kneel down to keep the rain and the roost from hitting his shield. And also, if you have a problem with your goggles, you peel them off, you throw another pair on.
Art Schmidt fighting his way up through the pack. He had that tough start when he got turned around. Let's go back and have a look at it.
You see Art in the middle of the screen stuck with Mark Oberg. What he does, pushes in the clutch, rolls backwards, and waits for a clear track. Another look from inside, you're along for the ride. It's like he's in a washing machine, getting pushed left, getting pushed right, hit by Matt Barney, stuck. Now you just wait, be patient, and now he's back on track and working his way back to the front.
He's right there behind Chris Brandt, who's finished second in the points. First time we've seen him, though, since 2001. Kyle LeDuc still up front. But how about Archschmidt Struck? I mean, that thing is showing some real promise. It's getting faster and faster, as you saw a quick glimpse of Jeff Kincaid.
That truck is very, very fast, but we've seen it's either been fast or very ill handling. Now we're taking a look at Kyle LeDuc. He's in sort of a rough spot. Does he try uncharted waters, go out and look for lines and lose time, or just run the middle and hope that Jeff Kincaid does not run him down?
It's round number 5, the Pro Light Division, and that man right there has won at Bark River 7 times, which is more than anybody else in the class. The Forest County Potawatomi-backed Toyota Tundra is wheeled by one of the best in the business, but he has his work cut out for him today.
He's making ground on Kyle LeDuc, so he's able to watch Kyle's line, try different things, use Kyle's breaking points, and now he's wheeled him in.
I'm sure he wants to get in front of Kyle because that's just who he is, but more importantly, he's in front of Chad Horde, and Chad Horde comes into this event leading in the points.
Chad Horde very, very strong. We're taking another look at John Marking, racing very, very hard with Mark Oberg. He's now getting the hang of this mud, so the guy who says he's never raced CORR and only does desert is showing him how to go around.
Steve Federico back there behind him. John Marking having a good run. Mark Oberg, with the smallest engine in the category, is doing a great job here today, and he's had some great battles out here with a number of different people.
This is not the first time that John Marking and Mark Oberg have been together. In round 1, they went back and forth all day long.
Marking's done very well, as has Robert Naughton, has shown some real promise. He's been very fast, but what impresses me again is the fact that Mark Oberg has taken a new truck built by Keith Stamper, by the way, the crew chief for Art Schmidt, and has utilized it with a very small engine package, but yet has still been able to run with the best in this class.
John Marking looking to the outside, looking for traction. Oberg going to the shortest way around, but Marking pulls it off with the traction.
Oberg looking for his second top 5 finish if he can hang on. The white flag flies. The blue and yellow flag is for Jeff Huseman on the inside there, telling him to move over, that the leaders are coming by.
Right now, Kyle LeDuc in the most nerve-wracking spot. You got a muddy track, lappers, and the guy who's leading the points breathing right down your neck.
Jeff Kincaid trying to hang in there, has not been able to really make up a whole lot of ground on Kyle LeDuc, and I'll tell you, when that kid gets going, man, he is definitely one of the fastest, if not the fastest, in the class.
Well, all 3 of these guys, you know, you wouldn't want to bet against any of them. Kyle LeDuc, a champion. Chad Horde is going to be a champion. And Jeff Kincaid, the defending champion. So you got 3 really, really strong drivers. I wouldn't bet against any of them.
That last turn, very slippery right there. You can see a number of the guys trying to get the truck turned around, and Marking really struggling, and that's how sloppy this track has become.
And you notice his back wheels are going about 50 and his front wheels are going about 5. It is very, very slick out there.
Just a couple of turns left for Kyle LeDuc. Can he put this thing back in the winner's circle? He won in round 3 at Crandon, and it looks like he's going to pull it off here.
He's got Jeff Kincaid breathing down and looking to the inside. Both guys side by side, both using the berm, driving 100%. We got 1 turn to go, Ken. Let's see how it plays out.
Kincaid has really closed the gap here, and now takes a look on the inside. He might get the win right here. He might take it away, and he gets hit by Kyle LeDuc.
Kyle LeDuc coming back for 1 more shot. Not too much, only goes around, backs around. Kyle was giving it everything he had, trying to give another nudge, and you see how Kincaid just pushes, and now takes it home.
Kyle will at least hang on to 2nd place. That has to be frustrating.
For Jeff Kincaid, it's got to be a very, very sweet victory to work your way all the way back up. LeDuc has been his nemesis to pass him in the last corner. Textbook, awesome race for Jeff Kincaid.
Jeff Kincaid rolls it up there to the podium. You can see the red and white truck, the Skyjacker backed machine of Kyle LeDuc pulls up beside him, and the emotion. I mean, that has to be exciting. That guy has won every way possible, but that has to still be very exciting for Jeff Kincaid to win like that.
Some words going back and forth.
Oh, Kyle not very happy. Remember, he did hit him in the back a little bit on the way there.
All right, Jeff, nothing quite like pulling it off there in the 11th hour, last few moments of the race. How sweet was that?
I'll tell you what, Kyle ran a good race, but I had a little screw up in my steering, so one way it always glitch and it starts spinning me out, but I just kept hanging on. And traffic did help me, you know, and they got me close enough to get to him, and once I got to him, I gave him the slide move. He didn't really like it, but that's what happens in off-road racing.
All right, Kyle got off to a great start. You had a big lead there, and then you can feel the pressure coming from Jeff Kincaid. How tough is it to race with him right there on your tail?
I mean, it was a rainy day, and nobody expected it to be this way, so it was kind of a gamble. But no, I ran my race. I ran out front, had clear vision, and I filled those guys with dirt for a while. And we started getting traffic, and it got slipperier and slipperier. And I just ran out of time. I think I lost the power steering belt like 2 laps ago, so I was fighting the wheel, and he did a slide job on me, and there'll be more of those to come, I'm sure.
That's what off-road racing's all about, right?
Oh yeah, stick it in there.
All right, Chad, Mr. Consistency, you've always been second place, but you're right there in it again on the podium. Tell me about the conditions for you being there in third.
Well, we were in third place there, trying to work our way up on Jeff. I started losing fuel pressure, started smelling fuel in the truck. That's why I jumped out as soon as I stopped there. But I mean, being at the Boss Snowplow track and just being here in hometown, it's awesome to finish here on the podium. But tomorrow, hopefully, we can bump up a couple spots.
Okay, nice job.
Thanks a lot.
He dropped the hammer, and actually Eller off to a great start.
Eller does know how to get it done. Don't ever count that guy out. And it looks like he will get the hole shot here, at least down into the first turn. If he can stay out of trouble, it's going to get ugly.
A few drivers up and over the top of each other's hood. Matt Barney in the mix. Everybody just banging and feeling their way through. At that point, you're just along for the ride.
Chad Horde giving us a great look here, kind of a picture-in-picture, but you look at Chad Horde, and out of the back of his truck, you'll see that he's passing a number of people, including Kyle LeDuc.
Kyle LeDuc in your picture right now. That's him in the red and white Skyjacker Ford. And these guys are swapping side to side. It's very, very soupy this first lap. They got to find a clean way through.
Kincaid on the far side there. Horde was underneath there. Horde looks like he's going to get position on Kincaid. Just 1 or 2 right now, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is a couple of extra points.
Right now, the man on the point is Chad Horde. He's been consistent all the time. Now he's out front ahead of Kincaid, and let's see what he can do. It's always one thing to follow somebody. You can use their braking points. You can gauge yourself off of them. But when you're in front, that's when you got to put on your big boy panties and run with it.
And you can see the guys back behind him running hard, and that is Kincaid leaning all over the back of Chad Horde. Number 1 and number 2 in the points, and Horde has to go up to miss Art Schmidt.
Art Schmidt can't catch a break. Yesterday, gets spun around, you see right here in the first corner, bounced around like a little pinball, and then he has to sit and wait. Today, he comes down in, has the whole shot, but the man cannot catch a break.
And that's Javier Saucio with the RCD suspension sponsored machine with a right front flat, and Federico goes right on by.
Federico into the pit. He's got a flat as well. A lot of carnage from this first turn at Bark River.
And again, look how sloppy this track is. All that moisture for round number 5. Taking a look at Steve Federico, the 24 Invisible Glass sponsored machine, and they're changing a right rear.
This is not Winston Cup. It takes a lot longer to change a wheel here. Where did the contact occur? First turn?
I believe it was. I'm not sure. Radio communication isn't good down here, so I don't know where the contact happened, but it must have been that first turn.
You can see the contact with Mark Ober going over the right side of Steve Federico in that first corner.
Every race here is important. Jeff's pulling the whole shot, and we're playing.
The Pro Light division, and they might be a tick smaller, but I promise you the fight is just as fierce as it is in Pro 2 and Pro 4.
Randy Eller still very impressive, holding on to third position with a lot of pressure from Kyle LeDuc in the back.
This is round number 6, and you're right, Randy Eller, one of those privateers, doesn't have a whole lot of funding. Not really that Kyle does. He does have some nice sponsorship, but the Maxxis sponsored machine for Randy Eller has shown some real promise. In fact, we saw him do very well at Crandon. All he needed was shock adjustment set up, and he'd have been right there with him.
Well, those Maxxis tires are working like a snow shovel. You can see he just fills Kyle LeDuc's truck up with a big, healthy roost.
Randy Eller also builds his own engines, builds his own truck. He's one of those guys that does the entire package himself. Built a brand new one here for the 06 season. It looks like he makes a small mistake, and man, did he get pummeled with mud.
The only mistake he made was letting Kyle LeDuc come up behind him. Take another look. Right up here, comes up, gives a little love tap to knock him off line. Ding! And inside he goes. Pushes him off just a little bit. Tightens up Eller's truck. Kyle LeDuc, perfect pass.
Textbook right there, and Randy Eller has already lost a lot of ground on him. He'll get somebody else that wants to pass him here in a moment. It looks like it's John Markey.
Robert Naughton also on Maxxis tires out in front. This rookie has come from motocross, mountain bikes, and now he's running with the very best in Pro Light.
Absolutely. Here comes Kincaid, though, a much better line. Naughton slams the door on him, though, and hangs on to the position.
Right now, Chad Horde is in a perfect spot. He can pick inside, outside. More than likely, if he can use Kincaid or Naughton as a pick, he might be able to get both of them at the same time.
And these two rookies, we're talking about Robert Naughton and John Marking, both coming into this round tied for 4th in the points. They've had a phenomenal run here early on in the 2006 season.
Those two drivers with completely different backgrounds. One with sprint experience, Naughton with motocross in downhill mountain bike, and Marking with desert long term.
Earlier in the race, one of the back markers had a huge wreck, and it's going to be our Skyjacker shock of the race. Man, Matt Barney just hammered it.
You watch as he comes down in, he gets sideways, locks up the brakes, bam, right in the wall, up and over. Fortunately for Matt, he's all right and healthy, no problem. Actually, I've had the good fortune of winning the Baja 1000 on a motorcycle with Matt Barney back in the 90s.
A lot of these guys with different racing backgrounds. It's very cool to see them come out here and compete. Jeff Kincaid, Robert Naughton, and Chad Horde.
Robert Naughton right now getting schooled by two of the best. First Jeff Kincaid, now Chad Horde looking on the inside. A little bump, a little rub, tightens up Naughton's truck, and away he goes. But you know what? This is no pun against Naughton, and now we see Naughton has got a flat tire.
Now that makes a little more sense as Kyle LeDuc also goes by.
But the race right now is between these two, Jeff Kincaid and Chad Horde. Chad typically hasn't had a clean shot at Kincaid, but right now he can watch his lines. He can do everything gauge off of him, so if he's got a chance of catching and beating him, right now is the time.
Chad has yet to finish out of the top 3 this entire season. He has been unbelievably consistent, but has yet to get that first win of the season.
Both these drivers driving the wheels off these trucks back and forth, but I have to say that Horde is in the best position because he can compare his lines to Kincaid.
The Forest County Potawatomi Toyota Tacoma, driven by Jeff Kincaid out front. Robert Naughton trying to get back to the hot pits to fix a right rear flat.
That's got to be heartbreaking. Robert's been very fast all the way through this series, and now he was up front and had possibly a chance of winning. Now he has to go in for a flat, and hopefully he doesn't lose a lap.
To finish in the top 5 of the Pro Light division, it's a pretty tall order, especially in your first year of competition. But those are the goals that Robert Naughton set for himself. While he's struggling here, he has accomplished those goals. In fact, he's even surpassed them.
My goal was to be top 5, and I made the podium in my first race, so now my goal is to be on the podium every race, first, second, or third. But also my goal is if I go out and drove 100% and I was 4th, I got to be satisfied with that. If I went out and got 2nd and I drove 75%, I'm not happy with that. If I give it 100% every race, I'm happy with where I finish. To be honest with you, I want to line up every race and race each event, and I don't really worry about points. I figure if I run up front and I have good results, the points take care of themselves.
Spoken wisely as he gets that right rear tire fixed and heads back out there onto the track.
Now, but he's being held up, and I'm pretty sure the leaders just went by. This is going to be a tough break for Robert Naughton. See, as you get held, they will not let you go out in front of the leaders if you're going to impede traffic.
You're looking at Jeff Kincaid, who's had a great run here at Bark River today, round number 6. Back up on the wheel, baby. I don't know if he's going to win it like he did in round number 5, but if he can hang on, all that really matters is that he wins it.
Exactly. When you got the two best guys out in front like this, Chad Horde's trying everything that he can, and Jeff Kincaid is doing everything that he knows is best, and they're staying about the same distance. So give and take a little bit from entry to exit a corner, but these guys are on track.
Chad Horde has been very close. Of course, would love to win here. This is home country for him and Boss Snowplow, his major sponsor. You're right. Back here, it seems like Kincaid stretches it out. But when you get up a little closer to the finish line, it seems like Chad Horde's truck's a tick better.
Well, that's a good point you make there, Ken, because the two trucks have different style of power plants. Toyota has a little more top end, and the Nissan more torque. So on the tight stuff, the Nissan should be better, and on the long stuff, the Toyota should be better. So you're right on the money.
Art Schmidt there fighting, just got around Stacy Pike. Stacy Pike, a longtime racer, had some pretty gnarly wrecks at Crandon, but doing a nice job here.
Back to the front, the two guys, you can throw a blanket over these guys. They're both trying everything. You watch it the last couple laps, they don't care about breaking anything. They're giving everything they got over that EMP power jump, and now Chad Horde is in the position to make a pass.
The thing about Kincaid is you can't pressure that guy into a mistake. You know, he keeps hanging around there. As you see, Josh Hent's truck looks like he becomes part of the mix here, and it's going to cost Horde big time.
Horde was pushing the envelope just maybe a little bit too much, got loose. His back wheel into Hentz, but luckily for him, he doesn't get a flat. Watch the contact. His back wheel against Hentz's front wheel. He loses a little bit of time, but he's still on track.
It's a shame for both guys. Josh Hentz, a former pro light buggy champion, doesn't have a whole lot of money, and Horde just hammers him. Earlier, this is what happened to Horde as well. He had to go up and around Art Schmidt, and I believe that's where he lost, if not the spot, pretty much a bunch of the ground, because Kincaid was behind him at that point. So he's had two different instances where he's lost some time.
Yeah, he came into that situation. Art Schmidt was spun around. He had to try to pick it and go inside or outside, and he got pitched up against the wall, and Kincaid was able to get around him. So tough breaks for Chad Horde, but you know what? This guy is there every weekend. His time is going to come.
Once again, looking at Art Schmidt, and now Art Schmidt trying to get past Jim Candell, a competitor out of the Ohio area, a guy that owns a salvage yard and has a couple of different trucks, including a buggy as well. So he's another guy that races a lot. You don't hear a whole lot about him, but he's always out there digging hard.
We got yellow flags out there, so the drivers cannot pass under yellow. They got to slow down, and sometimes you can make up a lot of ground, but there Art Schmidt picks it up once the yellow flag is gone and makes a pass.
That new truck of Art Schmidt, again, built by Keith Stamper, doing a great job. They're starting to get some of the bugs worked out, but he needs all four wheels, and he doesn't have them here.
Unfortunately for Art Schmidt, another bad break. Looks like he broke the rear end housing, and now the wheel's just 45'd off in the back.
We'll go back to the front of the pack. Jeff Kincaid and Chad Horde. And again, Chad Horde closing that gap. If he didn't have that run-in with Hentz, I think right now we'd be looking at one heck of a battle.
Well, definitely. And Kincaid's in that spot where any driver hates to be. You're out in front. You don't want to overdrive to make a mistake, but then you end up underdriving, and guys can drive up on the back of you. So you see here, they're flying the EMP power hill. Now he's got to pick in between them to give himself a little bit more gap.
That's Javier Saucio. We saw him before with a right front flat tire, pulled in. Now he's in between these two competitors. Chad Horde has set quick lap of the race at this point, but it is not enough as of yet.
One more obstacle to get in Chad Horde's way. This guy, if a tree's going to fall, it's going to fall right in front of him. I'm going to put money on it, because he's done everything that he can do right in avoiding all this and not getting any flats, and he's still right on the back of Kincaid when we got the white flag.
Jeff Yoder, who owns RCD Suspension, sponsoring Javier, and again kind of worked his way into the middle of that mix. And a lot of these guys do their absolute best. The spotters will tell them the leaders are coming. They will get out of the way for him, but they don't always know to the last minute either.
Another yellow flag out. This will give Chad Horde maybe a chance to make up a little bit of that ground. But once again, another lapper in the way of Chad Horde.
The right door about to fly completely off of Horde's truck, trying to hang on here. One last lap, just a handful of turns here. Our big high-speed right-hander after that EMP power jump.
Jeff Kincaid, picture-perfect race, did what he needed to do. Notice not one scratch on that truck. Made it through the first corner, didn't have the whole shot, was able to work his way up, and that's a sign of a professional, a guy that can go through traffic without tearing up his equipment.
Just listen to that thing sing. Drop it down a couple of gears and let it eat.
Yeah, these guys are all in manual transmissions, some with the ratchet forward and back, some guys with the H pattern. But right now, it doesn't really matter what pattern Jeff Kincaid has. He's been the dominant truck.
Here we go, last turn, checkered flag flying, and Jeff Kincaid gets back-to-back wins, and Horde finishes in the top three for the 6th time this year.